Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's move directly to our next session, which focuses on the use of social media and hotel marketing and the vital role of hotels, loyalty and recognition programs. I'd like to invite, to begin with, our moderator for the session, Mr. Rohan Mehta. He's the owner of Panorama Hotel in Mahabaleshwar and of Social Kinnect, social media marketing organization. Please put your hands together and welcome on stage Mr. Rohan Mehta, moderator for the next session. Welcome, Mr. Mehta. And to join him, our panelists, please put your hands together for Ms. Riya of Hyatt Hotels, Ms. Kriti Budhia of Accor Hotels, and Mr. Nikhil Ganju of TripAdvisor.com. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's over to Mr. Rohan Mehta to take you through the session with his panelists. Rohan, over to you. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are anybody who are making presentations and need support in the form of infrastructure and laptop support, could you please let us know during the lunch break so that we can load your presentations or make adequate arrangements. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this session. This session is going to focus on social media and its use in hospitality and how loyalty programs are affecting hospitality today. So I would like to introduce my dais out here. We have Nikhil Ganju. He's the country manager of TripAdvisor India. He's had a career spanning 14 years in the online space, and he's been in the travel industry since 5 years. He's also worked with companies like Bazi.com, Expedia, India Times, and more. We also have Kriti Budhia. She is the head for e-commerce for the Accor group in India. She's also been in the travel industry since 8 years. And she's worked with brands like Taj, Marriott, Travelocity, and so on. We've got Riya. She's heads marketing, communication, and e-commerce for Hyatt Delhi. And she's been in this field for 7 years. And she's worked with people like Park, Marriott, Hyatt, and also. So I would like to set the stage with a short presentation by Mr. Nikhil Ganju. He's going to just speak on the length and breadth of social media and how it's become important today. And then we'll dive into a few questions which I would like the panel to discuss. So, Nikhil.
Great. Thanks, Rohan. Firstly, I'd like to thank Sunith and the FHRAI for giving me the opportunity to be here and also get face-to-face with this eminent audience of the most important people in the tourism and hospitality industry. Thanks a lot, FHRAI. So what I'm going to do is just throw a few slides on what I believe are, that'll touch upon a few forces that we believe are transforming the way the online travel landscape is shaping up. What we believe are really social, mobile, and reviews are the three powerful forces that have been transforming the way people are planning their travel over the last few years now. So I'll just throw a few numbers out there that some of us might be well aware of, but I think for the benefit of the larger of the audience, will probably help demonstrate the scale at which these forces have become big and pertinent today. So yeah, despite what we hear about for the last few years, in terms of the economy, the global economic crisis, what we've seen in the Indian online travel space is that we've seen healthy growth over the last few years. It slowed down a bit in the beginning of this year. Even when you look at the reports of the bellwethers of the online travel space, like Make My Trip. But I think there's still solid, robust growth that we're witnessing in the online travel space, simply in terms of demand from consumers, in terms of actual transactions happening, and usage of travel sites in general. Just to throw a number out there, 42% of our Indian online audience is on some travel site or the other. So at various stages of their inspiration, planning, booking, post-trip process, a whole 42% of active Indian online users are on the internet and are using the internet to conduct various activities relating to travel. How important are travel reviews today? It's not a niche phenomenon anymore. It's not something that we believe that only a few people are doing and only very active, evolved online users are doing. It's something that's become pretty mainstream now. Thanks. Yeah. So just in terms of where do people start looking, start planning their travel? Where are these online users starting their travel planning? An overwhelming 62% of them start in search engines, and a very significant 54% of them actually look at travel review sites when they're at that crucial planning stage of travel. Coming on to hotels, more and more pertinently to all of you out here, which are the top online sources that people are looking for when they are booking a hotel? And almost 50% of them start with OTAs, of course. It's a no-brainer. And if you look at that, recommendations from friends and families comes in a little behind that. But travel and hotel review sites are also at about 34%, which is the same as the hotel's own website. So clearly indicating that a large percentage of users out there, when they start the whole booking process for a hotel, are looking at review sites. Again, tying into one of the forces that I talked about earlier: reviews, social, mobile. Something which I think all of you know, I don't know how many, staggering, right? 913 million active users across the world. India, extremely important in the whole Facebook scheme of things. We are the third largest market for Facebook globally. 66% of our online population is on Facebook. Mumbai is 9th globally in terms of Facebook users. So just to demonstrate the scale of how big, it's not something that you can ignore anymore. It's here to stay, is what we'd like to, and I'm sure the panelists will also agree and come up with. Mobile, yeah, the numbers are out there. We are 30% of the world's mobile subscribers. 75% of us are on the mobile, and 35% are from rural areas. But what's more important is that, while there are all these big numbers, what are people doing and how does it relate to travel? So are people really planning and doing stuff related to travel on the mobile? Yes, absolutely. So what are they doing? They're basically getting information on local activities. They're using a social network. In fact, more than half of Facebook's active users today are coming in from the mobile. That's a staggering statistic, right? For somebody who has more than 900 million active users, more than half of the audience coming in from the mobile, just tells you that how powerful this medium has now become, not just in general for social media, but also specifically for travel. And that's what people are doing really on the mobile when it comes to travel. They're updating their social networks. They're getting information about travel products, and some of them are even actually purchasing local activities. So the mobile actually is what, from our perspective as well, what we've seen is that the composition of our TripAdvisor traffic on the desktop and on the mobile is slightly different. So people on the mobile are clearly using it to look at activities around them, to look at restaurants around them, which indicates that the mobile is being used when people are in the trip phase rather than before they set out on their journey. Where do we fit in? I think from a travel perspective, particularly so from a hotel shopper's perspective, from a hotelier's perspective, it's a very critical element of the whole social media scenario and landscape. And that's what I wanted to kind of leave you with is from a social media perspective, there are various platforms out there, of course. I mentioned Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. It's a highly evolving and fluid landscape right now. But particularly from a travel and hotel perspective, TripAdvisor is one platform for social media that I think the audience here particularly cannot ignore, and that's because the footprint is 30 domains in 21 languages. It's 60 million users every month. Just take a minute and kind of digest that. And most of these guys are hotel shoppers. So as a hotelier, I think that's an important piece of information that you need to look at, is that 60 million hotel shoppers are really on the site. It's a global audience. 32 million members worldwide, 75 million. Look at the content on it. I mean, I think that's one of the strongest growth areas that we've seen is how over the last few years, people contributing travel content, it's just gone through the roof, right? Videos, reviews, photographs of hotels. And 1.6 million businesses have been reviewed in over 110,000 destinations. And if you look at that growth curve over the last couple of years, you'll see how reviews and contributions have just taken off in the last couple of years as a phenomenon. 50 new contributions coming in every minute as we speak right now. You know, somebody is writing a review probably on this very hotel. And that's the rate of how user content on travel is growing on TripAdvisor. One more thing I'd like to leave you with is contrary to popular belief, you know, it's not a place where, so social media is not just a place where people are ranting about their experiences, it's also a place where people are sharing. It's mostly a place where people are sharing positive experiences. So the average rating of a hotel on TripAdvisor is actually 4.01 of all the, I think, 800,000 plus hotels that we have listed on the site globally. The average rating is really 4.01 on 5, which shows that it's not a place where simply, you know, people are ranting and leaving sour experiences, but it's a place where people want to share and leave their best experiences and help other people also, you know, gain from those experiences. So yeah, that's what I'd like to leave you with, to give you a sense of the scale of how important TripAdvisor is on the social media travel space, and also give you a sense of how mobile and other platforms have become, particularly in India as well. So I'm going to let Kriti and Riya also talk about how, from their perspective, they use social media, probably, you know, which will be of immense interest to the audience out here as you know, somebody who's leading marketing for their organizations, how they use social media, probably with some case studies, and should be very helpful to you. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Nikhil. That really provided some insight on and set the stage for what we want to talk about ahead. So I'm sure social media has seeped into your lives one way or another, to different extents for everyone out here, but it has become an integral part of our lives, and it is affecting us some way or the other. So we want to see how this makes a difference to the hospitality industry and whether social media is here to stay. So my first question out there to these people is social media a fad or a necessity? Is it just something very interesting that people want to do today, or can we actually get gains from it? So I'd like your views on it. Mike?
So yeah, continuing from, you know, where I left off, really, I don't think it's a fad anymore. It's become an integral part, particularly platforms like ours. You know, I think it's pretty much a necessity for hoteliers to engage with audiences on platforms like ours, and of course other platforms like Facebook and Twitter as well. I think what's important is for marketing to be conscious of what goals they want to set out of their social media activity, right? I think right now it's early stages. The space is still evolving. I don't think anybody has had clear, measurable successes, you know, from their experiments with social media. The presence is mandatory. I think it's important to set clear objectives, measurable objectives. So whatever the metrics are, however rudimentary they might be, you know, whether it's fans on a Facebook page, or the level of engagement on your Facebook page, or the number of reviews on TripAdvisor, or your popularity index on TripAdvisor, just set clear milestones for what you want to do with your social media strategy. Yeah, so I think it's absolutely imperative to kind of have clear objectives, have milestones, and then and absolutely be present on these really powerful platforms.
Yeah. We at Accor, we strongly believe that Hi. So we at Accor strongly believe that it's an imperative part of our life. A good number of population is actively or passively today engaged in social media. It's no more a fad. We started in year 2006 with one hotel. Now in span of 6 years, we are operating 18 hotels. And our marketing objective is to introduce new brands and to create awareness of these brands in the market. Social media also becomes our important part of our marketing mix, and that's how we would like to look at it. We don't look at it in silos, so we look at it as an integral part of our marketing objectives to fulfill our marketing objectives.
Thank you, Kriti, and thank you, Nikhil, for showing such great numbers here. What I would like to add to the whole social media gamut is that communication over the years has changed drastically. We had print, then we had radio, then we had television, and internet came and it took the whole, the whole idea of advertisement, the whole idea of communicating news to a totally different level. It was a revolution which we saw like in just 4 years took the market by surprise. And most of the people who got on that bandwagon have been able to maintain their brand, they have been able to maintain loyalty for their customers, they have been able to sell better. Now, from there, we came into social media space. The way news is being distributed and what your customers are looking at is very different today. You are not looking for news. News is totally reaching out to you. Your customer just gets to know what's happening in other brands, gets to know who's reviewing which hotel better, who's giving a negative review. So to ignore such a huge space, it is, it wouldn't be fair. However, social media, like Kriti said, it doesn't work in terms of just social media, Facebooking, or just blogging, but the whole structure of social media has to be incorporated and supported by offline and online together. It doesn't work in silos. The good thing to look at it is that all the hotels are now trying to spend more and more, incorporating it in their budgets and making it a part of their internal team. Some even outsource it, and that's a very good sign. And the point that we have a session here on social media itself is a good sign that we are opening up to the whole idea of social media as a part of a big communication tool.
So I guess from this I get that we all unanimously agree that social media is no more an option. It's become a necessity, and every hotel, every restaurant needs to have some kind of a social media presence and a social media marketing strategy. But while we are on social media, the next question I'd like to ask is, what relevant platforms of social media do you think are there? Because there's TripAdvisor, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn. There are hundreds of social media websites. So what do you all think is the most relevant to you all?
Check. Yeah, so clearly from the audience's perspective out here, I think it's a no-brainer, right? From a hotel's perspective, like I mentioned, it's the platform that one needs to spend disproportionate amount of resources and time really is TripAdvisor, particularly if, obviously if you're a hotel. And there are various ways to do that. It's pretty simple actually. Some of the basic things that you need to do on the site to kind of ensure that you're engaging with this hotel shopping audience out there. I don't know if 100% of hotels in this room would be even doing some of those basic things that help ensure that your reputation on sites like ours is intact and always growing. Right, simple things like urging your customers to write reviews once they've and doing this in a processized manner rather than leaving it to probably the individual discretion of every GM of your hotels. Set up an automated process where simple things, like sending a post-checkout mail which urges people to, your guests write feedback. And I know for a fact that Accor Hotels does this, for all their hotels, 4,000 plus hotels globally. They've partnered with us to collect reviews because they consider it important to build their reputation on a platform like ours, which gets exposed to so many hotel shoppers. So yeah, I think some of the basic things that one can do on platform, and again, which platforms do you choose? So yes, from your perspective, there's us. You've also got to clearly not spread yourself too thin, right? So there are various platforms out there. Choose the lowest hanging fruit. Look at where you believe your audience is going to be, where you believe the audiences are more engaged, where you believe that you can do things that can engage the audience more. So do you really need to be on a Pinterest today? Do you need to be on well, if there's something really powerful that you can specifically offer on Pinterest, then sure, go ahead, do it. But clearly, I mean, choose and focus on 2 or 3 platforms and you know, give your best to that. Yeah.
Yeah. As Nikhil pointed out, it's very clear that we need to look at our target market. Because we belong to a travel industry, we today cannot afford to ignore TripAdvisor. As he said that we globally partner with TripAdvisor, we feature their reviews on our websites, is the most relevant and the most updated reviews, which also helps in search engine optimization of our hotels. So it's a great platform. We today cannot also ignore platforms like Facebook. As Pavitran also pointed out, that engagement is the buzzword for employment, and you need to engage with your employees in the same fashion. It's important today that we engage with our customers. And it's very critical that we are there on Facebook. We have different bouquet of brands, so we do identify that which brands, which platform is required. So we do have different strategies for different brands, from a Formula One to Ibis, and we do have brands like a Sofitel and Pullman. So we do use different platforms for different brands.
So it basically depends on your marketing strategy and what would be relevant to it.
Absolutely.
So you need to define clear goals for which platform and what you're using it for.
Yes. So like a website, like a restaurant review website, like a Zomato today, it's very relevant when you have more than 2 restaurants.